Hello, hello. What's up, Miss Lil? You good?
Oh, hey, Mom.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about the project.
You want to ask when everybody else is here, or you want to wait? I mean, you want to ask now? Okay, well, give me a second. I'm going to get an ice pack because I'm so hot.
I forgot my binder that has the little bit.
It has a what? Oh, that's all right. Just ask your mom to bring it when she picks you up.
What on earth? Dang it.
Yeah, there's a little, see the little box for the booklet?
What on earth is this?
Okay, some people ask that. So this actually just goes at the bottom. Okay, so you've got your thyroid and your trachea. This is actually the thymus that goes right underneath it. It wasn't specifically listed, so I kind of messed up not listing it, but
How do you spell that?
Thymus. Hey, Darcy.
Hi, I'm having to turn my brothers. His fingers are really badly injured.
What happened?
His fingers are injured like so bad.
What happened to him?
He was in jujitsu and he twisted around and his fingers got trapped. He can't come today because it hurts so much.
Did he break them or sprain them or what? Ugh.
I can hear your voice.
Hi. I'm still sweaty, so how are you?
Last day with your son.
Almost, man. I know. I can hardly believe that. Can you believe it? It's
Michael
nuts.
just told me, I was like,
That's nuts. Last
so many things.
last class, and then they do the, look at these. I'm so excited. We're gonna check these out at lab. But they walked around last week with a sterile swab and wiped down stuff in my house.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And then we incubated them in nasty. You want to stay at real much?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I worked at the toilets.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Look how clean this city is.
I wrote my bathroom door.
On the bathroom door.
There's this there, and you can see.
Hey, guess what? It's for you.
Yeah, we're gonna go through writing down what you see. Yeah. No, Lana. Later, sweetie. Bye.
Gross. Ozzy's back.
I know, that's amazing. Ozzy's back was like the grossest thing. I think Cole did Ozzy's foot, and they both had this like black mold, and I was like, what the heck? So we're gonna actually,
Don't touch this dog.
now we're gonna write all that down, and I'm gonna kind of keep track of what we found, because it's pretty, some of it's pretty amazing.
Oh, by the way, Miss Stanley.
Yes.
I couldn't do my 2 or 3 pages worth of written projects because I'm gonna turn it on in like digitally on the 15th.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
So you're good.
What I was doing today,
Mhm.
I was doing my model body booklet because I sort of forgot to do it.
Oh.
I had to do the giant one. I did it from like 4:30 yesterday to like 8:30 at night. and
You
I
got
woke
it
up-
done,
and I
though.
woke up at 6 and I was doing it till like 5 minutes before we left.
That's
I
homework
just
for
got it
you.
finished.
That's homework for you.
Since my brother hurt his fingers, my mom had to
Right.
write the last part for him, but
Yeah.
I just told her what to write.
That is crazy. I'm sorry about your brother's fingers. That's really terrible.
Why are you so cute? Why are you so dirty? In the car, I just found this bus.
Let's give it like 2 more minutes, see if anybody else shows up. Today,
79.
it was cold this morning.
I was sort of gonna put on this giant baggy leather jacket of my mom's. Actually, it isn't so baggy anymore, but it didn't go with any of the dresses I picked out. Bye, Ozzy.
Hey, buddy. It's still gonna bark when people come to the door, I think, though.
Ozzy. Why are you so cute? So dirty. Don't put the fingers on his back.
You're a good boy. What? Hello. Did you want to come here? No.
Mine
Right.
didn't grow and I rubbed it on the toilet seat.
You know, it's weird. I put one inside the toilet when y'all left and rubbed around in there, and I only got a little growth. But some of the ones that got the most growth, like there's a, if you go up my stairs, there's one center post. I touch it nearly every time I go by. That grew a lot, a lot. Kind of interesting.
Don't touch the stuff that grew the really big mold. It's okay to touch the toilet.
Yep.
But not the dog.
Let's see.
I'll let them about this. I don't know what he said. Everyone pets dogs like every day, always. My dog's probably really dirty. Should check it out. I mean, I hit at least 28 times a day. Pick up my cat whenever he's sleeping. I pick up
Because then he won't scratch
I just pick up my dog because he's so small.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead. Lily should be back in a second. I'm not sure about Sky, and Lewis is not coming, so we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go through the immune system pretty quickly. Reason being, obviously, it's our last one before we start our big review for our final, but also it is such a complex system. It's one of the more complex systems, and there's nothing really tangible, or very few things that are tangible. So it's not like you can look at it and go, well, here's the, got fuzz in my eyelashes. I don't know what that is, but it's nothing like here's a stomach, and you can clearly see what a stomach is, right? This is all on the cellular level and chemical level, and so it's just very difficult to kind of grasp. And you could take your entire lifetime. That's a hello. He's saying hello. Yeah, he's saying hello because Cole going down. That's hello. So anyway, you could take your whole lifetime studying the immune system, obviously, because there are people who are immunologists, and this is all they do. So actually, let me take one more second, see if I have anything to hand back. No, it's just Anthony, and he's not here. So Anthony won't be back. Go figure. Since he hasn't been here all quarter. He's actually going to do a hybrid next year, and it took him a while to decide. So Anthony won't be back. Yeah.
I'm doing a hybrid next year, and I won't be doing it like for the first half, but if it's not way too much homework since it isn't on a Tuesday, I'm probably gonna come back to the second.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Yep, we'll figure that out.
Oh, look, schedule.
And earth science is I think earth science is a little less heavy than biology, just so you know.
And I got it.
Yep. All right, so the immune system, here we are, our last lesson. So you have an innate immune system. Do you remember we talked about innate behaviors? We were going over animal behaviors. Do you know what innate means? Ooh, I didn't put your little thing out. Anybody know what innate means? Innate means you're born with it. It's like an instinct when it comes to a behavior, but with your immune system, it means something that you're born with. Innate means it's just like it's part of you. It's not something that you get or catch or whatever. It's just part of you. So an innate immune system is the one that you are born with or that is formed with your body when you are developed. So we have innate immunity, and that's made of defenses against infection that can be activated immediately once a pathogen attacks. The innate immune system is essentially made up of barriers that aim to keep viruses, bacteria, parasites, and other foreign particles out of your body or limit their ability to spread and move throughout the body. Do you remember this word pathogen? What's pathogen? Who remembers that one? Pathogen is anything that causes disease or infection. Anything is a pathogen that can cause disease or infection. You can say it's pathogenic, whatever it is. So this is the part of your immune system that is going to go ahead and it can instantly recognize things that don't belong, right? Other parts of your immune system have to learn. So the innate immune system includes, let's see, some kind of barrier. What kind of barrier? Do you know, Darcy? Oh, we're not quite at lymphocyte yet. So it's going to include physical barriers. Whoops, sorry, I clicked that one too early. Defense mechanisms. Oops, why are they doing that? General immune response. These are your main 3 parts, okay, of your innate immune system. So think about like, what would be an example of a physical barrier you have?
Your skin.
Hey, Claire, your skin, right? Obvious, that's a good physical barrier, right? Your skin keeps stuff out. Great example. All right, so here are your physical barriers, like we were just saying. Your skin, it's waterproof. It also keeps your pathogens out. And you have the function of the pH in the GI tract. You have the respiratory tract, nasopharynx, that's that pharynx part of your body we talked about, and other body hair. I love this guy. It was a great example of body hair. So your skin we talked about right here, right? It's waterproof. It's a good solid barrier against things that don't belong. This is why cuts get infected because they're open, right? This physical barrier has been damaged and things can scoot in. And then this is what the inside of your respiratory tract looks like. You see all those little, what look like bumps are actually little hairs. So this would be down in like your bronchioles. That would be this tissue. And then this stuff right here, this would be in your nasopharynx. So that's up in your sinuses, where your sinuses and your pharynx connect up in there. And then cilia. Okay, so here's some cilia here and here's some cilia here.
Is cilia in your ears?
Yeah, cilia is anywhere that you have just like fine hairs. So your nose hair is like a type of cilia. Sometimes you have it in your ears too. And then you also have cilia like in your digestive tract, the little fingery things. Remember, your small intestine has cilia. So there's lots of places where you can find cilia. Sometimes their job is to increase the surface area, like in the intestines. They increase the surface area for absorbing. But in places like your nasopharynx and stuff like that, their job is to, is that Sky? Yay. There. Hey, sweetie. Their job is to actually stop stuff from getting in.
By the way,
Mhm.
yesterday, so the first ever person with brown eyes actually said I had bluish gray eyes because every single one of the people I know with brown eyes always says I have green eyes.
That's interesting.
Everyone says
That was very random, but interesting. All right, so eyelashes. What did I just say a second ago? I said, oh, fuzz on my eyelashes. I don't even know where it came from. Think about it. If you didn't have your eyelashes, all kinds of things would get in your eyes. Now, who's ever seen a cow's eyes up close? You ever seen it? What do you notice about their eyes?
Well, they have two eyes.
Really big eyelashes, like an inch or more long. They're huge. And what's always around cows? Flies, Lily. There's always flies everywhere. So those giant eyelashes, those flies land on them all the time and they just blink them off. And they use their tail to swat them away. Elephants too. Think about elephant eyelashes. I'm sure you've seen that, right? They're huge. Camels too. All kinds of animals that have to deal with flies, or think about what else does a camel have to deal with? Sand, that's right. Lots of sand and dust and yuckiness. So yeah, they have to keep that off of them.
Spit coming out of their mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. Yeah. So then we have defense mechanisms. I had to share this video because it's so amazing. So anyway, we have secretions like mucus. So when you have a cold, you get a lot of mucus, right? Blech, your nose runs, you cough. Bile, obviously bile is for emulsifying fat, but it also can kill some pathogens. Your gastric acid, that very low pH in your stomach, that is there because it's okay. The cool thing about the gastric acid, about the low pH hydrochloric acid in your stomach, is that its first job is to destroy pathogens. Its second job is to help digest food. That's almost like a byproduct. It's not really there to help digest your food. It's really there to kill things that don't belong.
Okay.
And then things like saliva, tears, and sweat. I'm gonna make sure the sound is up for this. So this, they say it's the world's biggest booger. I'm unsure that it's the biggest booger, but it's pretty good.
I've had some big ones.
Look at this is up. Yeah, we've all had some good ones in our day, but this one was, I was like, wow, dude. So, and if you are somebody who enjoys like a pimple popper lady,
Oh my gosh.
Dr. Pimple Popper, right?
My brother.
I'm gonna recommend another one for you. And those are, I guess the reason they're so satisfying is because you're seeing somebody get rid of stuff that doesn't belong.
And
It's kind of like something in your primal brain goes, oh, that nasty stuff is out,
My
you know.
brother, wait, no, my mom
Mhm.
hates.
Hey, Dr. Pimple Popper.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so here's another one I'm gonna recommend. If you have, you may make a note if you want, but it's called Hoof, like HOOF GP. And this is a guy who is Scottish. And so it's Hoof GP. And he goes around Scotland in this ridiculously expensive truck with a ridiculously expensive trailer and lives in a huge, massive house now because he's so successful and his YouTube channel is so successful. But what he does is he fixes, his entire living is fixing cattle hoof. So cows and bulls, they're out in the mud all the time, right? And sometimes things get in the mud you can't see, like gravel or nails, or like one time I saw another cow's tooth. And these cows step on them and they get in their hooves and it can cause infection and they can really, really hurt because it's kind of like when you cut your nails, right? Like you don't feel that, or when your hair, you don't feel that. They have a really thick hoof and it's made of the same kind of stuff. So he has like it looks like a floor sander, but he goes, "Whirr," and he can sand that down. And a lot of what he does is just give the hoof a nice shape so it's balanced when the cow's walking and the cow's not like walking funny. But the other thing he has is this little like a curved knife, and he can just scrape away. It's kind of satisfying to watch him do it. It's like butter. He scrapes away bits of their hoof, but he finds infections and there are a lot. And so he has to scrape down to the infection and kind of clean it out. But it's interesting that such a thing happens. And then what he does is to like spray it with whatever, either iodine or sometimes salicylic acid, wrap up that side of the hoof. And you know they have cloven hoof, right? So it's like two toes like this. So if this is the one that has the problem, he will wrap it up. And then on this one, he'll glue a block. So it's like a block that's about this tall, and he glues it on so that now this one is lower. And when that cow walks, the part that's hurt doesn't touch the ground. It's very smart. So let's watch this world's biggest booger. This is a good one if you like gross stuff.
Well, I do like gross stuff.
I do too.
That channel's thing sounds.
Look at this dude. I don't know how he got one this big. Ick. I mean, how do you get mucus this jammed? I don't know, but see the little, that's a nasal speculum they're using to open it up. And then a pair of these awesome bent forceps. Oh, that's really far up there. Got to grab it. Makes me want to sneeze just watching it.
Oh, I feel.
There's also videos of people pulling out earwax like this. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go.
You wonder why I was uncomfortable.
That's a cockroach, not a booger.
That one's a booger, but there are some with cockroaches and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Stop it now.
pause for now.
There are some with like
Oh.
bugs that get into, I've seen cockroaches in people's ears and things like that.
I wonder how
So-
it felt when it just.
Oh, it must have felt so good.
Oh.
So inflammatory response, this is your general inflammatory response. So this is what actively brings immune cells to a site of infection, which increases blood flow. Complement is a unique response that marks pathogens for destruction and makes holes in cell membranes of a pathogen. So that's how one part of it works. But if you get an infection, it gets red, swollen, and hot, right? That's because you have increased blood flow to that area. And the purpose is for all those immune fighting cells to get there and get the job done. Yeah.
There's this new thing on Netflix called Flinch, and like it's where all these people flinch. It's so good. and there's like the strongest people are always just like.
Ugh. Now I would flinch if this was mine. So a lot of people with diabetes have poor circulation in their feet, and there's other disorders too, but that can cause infection because they don't get enough blood. So when those people have to get their nails trimmed, they usually have like a nurse do it, or sometimes they go to like a very trusted pedicurist or whatever, because if you nick that skin or nick that nail bed, it could cause a really bad infection. So then we have our internal defenses. So what kind of cells engulf pathogens? And this involves interferons, which are proteins secreted by infected cells that signal neighboring cells to defend us. Do you know?
What, that's us?
Let's see. Macrophages. Now, these are all white blood cells, basically. So macrophage is a different kind of white blood cell. And macro, meaning it's big, right? And it's going to engulf the pathogen. Do you remember how an amoeba eats? Do you remember? It takes its little pseudopods and it wraps it around the food like this. That process is called phagocytosis. That's exactly what these guys do. So what kind of cells hold histamines that cause blood vessels to dilate and bring extra blood, which causes swelling in the tissues? Do you know what that is? What is it, Darcy?
It's either bacteria maybe, or it's either bacteria or virus.
No, it's going to be whatever's in your immune system. So it's mast cells. Now, mast cells, you may hear about mast cells in the media over the last year, or even maybe into the future a little bit, because mast cells, if they get out of control, so they bring histamines, right? So histamines are like when you take an antihistamine, your nose stops running, right? So histamines are what make everything like swell up and run, and all your fluids start coming out of your eyes and your nose and all that grossness. Some people with COVID ended up getting what they call mast cell storms, which basically mean these mast cells go out of control and they are just sending histamines all over your body, and you're swelling up, and that's internally too. So people were having problems with their organs being affected. It was really, really bad. So these are cells that destroy infected or cancerous cells. Do we know what these are? These are going to be our natural killer cells. Isn't that a fun name? Natural killer cells. And they're going to destroy your infected or cancerous cells. And then lastly, these guys are involved in the pain and swelling that occur upon injury or infection. So these are the inflammatory, this is your inflammatory response, not necessarily the cell, but the response in general. So think about this. Why would your body want an infected or injured part to hurt? Why do you think that is?
So we can know it's there.
So you can know it's there. That's one. Why else? What's another good reason for it to hurt?
So you can like prevent the blood flow and everything, and you can like shut it down and stuff. And
I'm asking like you're consciously. Why would you want you, like if you have an injury on your toe, why would your body want that to cause a pain signal? Darcy?
so you just know what's going on and you can just stop it.
That's kind of what Claire was saying. Yeah. And what else, Drew? You know that? How about so you don't mess with it? So you don't further injure it. So you don't bang it, right? If something hurts, you want to leave it alone and take care of it, right? It's a signal to your conscious brain going, hey, dummy, you've hurt yourself. Take care of this, right? Basically. All right. So then we're going to do now our acquired immunity. And we're going to kind of whip through these, and then we're going to work on our review of it. So your acquired or adaptive immunity. So this is a defense response that is enhanced by a previous exposure to a pathogen. So this is not innate. You have to be exposed to that pathogen in order for your body to respond to it. Can anybody think of an example of a pathogen or a disease that your body does not immediately fight because it hasn't been exposed? Common cold, flu, all kinds of, there you go, all the above. Yep. So acquired immunity is immunity you develop over your lifetime. So you're not born with it. It can come from a blank, exposure to a blank, another person's blank. Anybody have any ideas what any of these blanks might be? What do you think, Darcy?
Two might be exposure to it, but like
Yeah, like to a disease or something.
Yeah.
So we've got, it can come from a vaccine. Exposure to the infection, Darcy's right, or another person's antibodies. Okay, in what case does another person's antibodies pass to you?
That's kind of gross.
Doesn't work that way. Can you think?
Like a blood transfusion?
It could come from a blood transfusion. That's really thinking outside the box. There's another way. Yeah. That'd be more like you getting exposed to it. So when mothers are pregnant, they pass certain antibodies through placenta and others through breast milk. That's one of the things that breast milk can do that formula can't do. Nutritionally, they can be very, very similar, but formula does not have the antibodies in it that breast milk does. Breast milk can pass antibodies, whatever the mother's antibodies are, onto that infant, so that that infant can then be able to fight some diseases while it's tiny. Now, some of those antibodies will stay with that infant and some of them will not. They will just sort of fade away, and they're more like the recent antibodies. And over time, that infant can catch infections. So a vaccine. So what does a vaccine do? It gives you exposure to a deadened or weakened version of the pathogen so that your body develops the antibodies. And when it comes in contact with that pathogen, it already has a system in place to defend against it, right? So what are allergies? Okay.
All of that.
Okay, so allergies are actually like, it's a hyper response. It's an exaggerated response. And it can trigger mast cells, remember those inflammatory deals, to elicit this inflammatory response. So this is a hyper reaction or an exaggerated reaction. Like, it's not good to have pollen in your lungs. It doesn't belong there. But good gracious, if you're an asthmatic and you're allergic to whatever pollen, you're going to be sick, right? So that's how they work. Allergies are just basically exaggerated, okay? Exaggerated response. So autoimmune disease, what's that word mean? Autoimmune. You can break it down into
I've really heard this before.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of it.
Well, it's an autobiography,
Something about yourself.
but who writes it?
Someone else.
Nope, a biography someone else writes. An
You
autobiography,
write about
you
yourself.
write about yourself. So what's an autoimmune disease?
So it's something we make.
Sort of.
It's something we.
Nope. What it is it's a disease in your body where you attack yourself.
Oh.
So it's sometimes the immune system turns against certain molecules naturally in the body. Now, if you remember back when I was showing you when they were worried that I had like a ruptured disc and that was what was causing the pain in my body, that material inside the disc is never exposed to anything except the inside of that disc. And when it gets out into the body goes, what's this? And it reacts and starts attacking, even though it's always been in your body. And that's what causes the pain. So autoimmune means part of your body is attacking itself. So lupus. So that's kind of what I have going on. I've had this for years going on. So this means that my body recognizes some of my cells incorrectly as foreign and fights them. Now, this weird nerve thing that I got recently, this Parsonage-Turner syndrome that I have, that is also an autoimmune disease because my own body attacked my brachial plexus. Now, rheumatoid arthritis, this is one you may have heard of, and this is when you've got your own body attacking your own cartilage. So it can be very painful. And rheumatoid arthritis, you can get as a child or as an adult. This is one of those ones that kind of you can get whenever. A lot of these autoimmunes don't show up until your middle age. So now here's an interesting thing, just for a side note. So yesterday I had 2 doctor's appointments. First, I went to my neurologist. Second, I went to my regular doctor, my osteopath. So my neurologist did all that testing over again. You remember what they did to me last time? Remember what I told you? Needle, needle, needle. But he wanted to check both arms because I told him that my right hand is going numb, my right arm tingles. And I think it's because something I'm doing because of this problem, something I'm doing is causing this problem. So he immediately puts the little electrodes on and he sends the shock through. And almost immediately he goes, oh, you have carpal tunnel. Okay, so that's something to do with where a nerve goes through a certain little tunnel in your hand, your arm, your wrist area through here. And if you pinch it up, it can make everything go numb. Okay, it's not uncommon. It's actually usually due to repetitive movement like typing or mousing, things like that. So then he checked this arm and then he did the needle thing all over again, but he did it on both arms. He didn't do as much over here. He did a lot over here. All up my back and my neck again. I have bruises all up my neck and my back. I've got like these. You can still see the pen marks because I could not scrub my arms last night. They hurt too bad. And my favorite ones are the ones they stick right here. These are the ones that hurt the most, right in the palm of your hand. That really hurts. I got 2 of those here and here, right? All that stuff. I lost count, but I'm thinking last time was 19. This time was probably somewhere in the mid to high 20s, if not more. So a lot. He had a med student with him, so he was really enjoying stabbing me and telling this kid what he was doing. So anyway, I go to my regular doctor and I said, he says I have carpal tunnel now too. And he says to sleep in a brace and to try and keep my elbows straight. I don't know how I'm going to keep my elbows straight when I'm sleeping. And he says to me, well, how are you sleeping? And I said, well, because my left shoulder and arm and neck hurt so bad, I have to sleep on my left so I can stretch this arm under the pillow. Because if I go the other way and stretch this arm under the pillow, then this one hangs and it hurts. And he said, so when you're sleeping like this arm is bent and coming down, which is what this other guy says not to do, right? And he's like, so this caused that. And I thought, oh, you're right. Now the neurologist said, oh, it's completely separate, but it's not, because this caused a behavior that caused this, right? So one more thing. So I still hurt. And the neurologist says, that's really uncommon. You shouldn't still be hurting after all this time. And I don't know. Basically, he didn't know why. And I asked him, how often do you see this disorder, which is 1 to 3 people out of every 100,000? That's how rare it is. How often do you see this with lupus? And he told me how often he sees the disorder, but he never told me how often he sees it with lupus, because I think his answer is never before. He only sees 3 or 4 patients, like, what do you say? I think 5 a year that have this. So the chances that one of them is going to have lupus is lower, right? So my doctor was like, well, I knew you were coming. He shows me 3 studies, 2 out of the US, 1 out of Korea, people with extended pain. There's this whole course of steroids that I'm probably going to start tomorrow, because he says it's inflammation. That's why you hurt. And that's what I told the neurologist. I said, I think there's inflammation here and that's why I hurt. And he's like, shouldn't be. But he's thinking in the neurology box. And my osteopath is really good at autoimmune stuff. So he's thinking that way.
There's this thing on that TEDx.
I love
It's
TEDx.
called the contradiction dragon or something. It's with this dragon and he basically just travels through TV back in time. It was back in these olden days where they couldn't treat ridden childbirth fever and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, just because the fever happens after giving birth and stuff, doesn't mean birth caused the fever. It's
Right.
because it might have been because doctors weren't cleaning all their stuff.
It's
He said
exactly right.
It might not cause another, but it also might.
So that's something called causation versus correlation,
That's what it was.
right? If I go outside every day and I put a tablespoon on my table out there and come back in and it happens to rain that day, and then I go out the next day and do the same thing and it rains again, is my putting the spoon out there causing the rain? No, that's just correlation. Causation is obviously when whatever you're doing is causing the problem. And this is something in science you have to be really careful about. Causation and correlation. There's a big difference. Correlation can be tempting to make correlation a causation, but it isn't necessarily. And this will come up next year in earth science when we talk about global warming and climate change. When you follow the CO2 levels and the temperature raising to see which one's going first. It's interesting. Yeah.
There's actually a website where you can, it'll give you like a random two that are correlated to each other.
Uh-huh.
And it's really funny because one of my favorites that I got was increase in murders in Chicago, but there was also an increase in ice cream sales in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Bodies could be.
Those are correlated. So here are examples of some autoimmune diseases. There you go. That's a lot. A lot of these are referred to as autoimmune connective tissue diseases. Those are the ones you're probably most used to. That's lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's disease, mixed connective tissue disease, undifferentiated connective tissue disease, which is what I have, but it leans towards lupus. And there's like 2 or 3 others. And then there's all of these, like look at all of these.
Now, all that's gonna be on my test.
No, it's just to give you an idea of how many there are here.
Study all of them.
And you know what I don't see here? I don't see, unless I'm wrong, I don't see parsonage. Oh, there it is, Parsonage-Turner syndrome. Ding, ding, ding. So it's on there. So yeah, these are all different autoimmune diseases. So now what we're going to do is we are going to move on to your Jeopardy review. And we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, perfect timing. So Claire, Colson, Sky, your team 1. Lily, Drew, and Darcy, your team 2. So I'm going to put these links for you guys. I'm going to put these links for you guys in, whoops, where'd it go? Sorry. I'm going to put these links for you guys in your, what's the word I'm looking for? In your weekly email and in your resources box. I don't think I've put them in there yet, but, yep. Jeopardy Labs. I just saw it fill. Okay.
I created a Rube Goldberg machine.
Oh, fun. We did those last year before last, tons of them. So this is your lab rats one. Let me get it out of the way because we don't want that one.
Nice.
Yay.
We want your,
Physical science, I made one that had like a
oopsie.
knife that was pointed downwards, and there was like a little, like a paper clip that had a piece of butter on the bottom of it.
Mhm.
And a little one underneath, and I held a candle.
It's pretty cool.
So like you'd
It is very
light
involved.
the butter and slide it
So
down.
let's look here. So what I've done is, this is my page, and you're gonna get the link, the direct link for this. This is your junior lab rats biology final exam review. That's the one you want to be looking at. All right. So we're gonna make it 2 teams, and we're gonna go ahead and start our game. So the way it works is I'm gonna give your team about, I'm gonna watch my phone, and I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to answer. If you don't answer, I'm gonna pass it to the other team and they'll have 15 seconds to answer. If they don't answer, then nobody gets credit, okay? All right, so we're gonna go first, and let me flip a coin as I have them with me. Who, heads or tails, Lily?
Heads.
It's Lily's choice.
Always go for tails.
Okay, it is heads. So do you wanna start first or defer to them? All right, let's do it. Team 1, starting first.
Who's team one again? Me,
That's you guys.
Me, her, and someone else?
Darcy.
Okay.
All right, so your categories are how to science ecology, the cell, genetics, evolution, microorganisms, viruses, prokaryotes, and it says viruses twice, I'll have to change that. Plants, fungi, non-chordates, part 1 and 2, fish, amphibians, and reptiles, birds and mammals, animal behavior, body systems 1 and body systems 2. Lily, where are we going?
How does science start?
How does science 500? In order for this to be considered, it must be possible to be tested and accepted or tested and rejected. What'd you say?
Scientific theory?
No.
Oh, wait, here's how it works. Let the whole team agree on the answer first. All right, then we'll go. Okay, which team answer? Hypothesis it is. So, flip. There we go. So you're gonna get your point there. So I'm gonna give you your point, and then we're gonna go back to the board. So your team 1. So now here's what I'm gonna do also. For you guys, for this, I'm gonna have 2 piles, and you can trade your coins also, so you know, for any of this awesome Middle Eastern candy that my Afghan brother-in-law got us for their Eid, end of Islam's end of Ramadan celebration. I got these awesome like coffee toffee things. You didn't like the orange ones? I liked them. So anyway, you can trade your coins in. So I'm gonna make 2 piles. This is a 1 and 2. All right, so you guys, you're up. What you gonna do? Claire, you go, you pick.
Birds and mammals, 400.
Birds and mammals for 400. All birds and mammals reproduce using this strategy, which has the potential to produce tremendous genetic variation in offspring. You guys have about 30 seconds to come up with your answer. You guys chat, figure it out. If you have something, say it. If you think you know. Don't know? Hey, Shane.
Sorry, I'm watching.
Get with your team and come up with an answer. You're almost done. Time's almost up. Okay, what you guess?
Selective breeding.
Nope, toss it over here. You got 15 seconds. Yes, sexual reproduction. Boom. All right, there you go. Excellent. All right. So that's 2 for you guys. I forgot to give you coins there. All right. And moving on, going back to, well, show them the answer there. Okay, going back to the board. All right, you guys are up. Let you pick, Drew, since she picked last time. You pick. Evolution for 600. He's going big. In natural selection, the selector is nature, but in selective breeding, the selector is this. Come up with your answer. Humans. That's it. Very good. Correct. And you also get a coin. Awesome. Very good. So the answer is humans. All right, coming back over here. Claire picked last time, so Colson, what are you picking? For 300. Fish, amphibians, reptiles. 300. This amphibious organism in the order Anura may be mostly terrestrial or mostly aquatic, but all have hearts with this many chambers. Are we going with 3? What are we saying? 3? 3 is correct. Good job. All right. So now we're back over here. You're up. Darcy, you pick.
I guess the cell for 200.
The cell for 200. Active transport across a membrane requires this.
Energy.
That's right. Energy is correct. What is energy? Right. So let's be forming our answer in the form of a question, right? All right. Excellent. Let's go back. So now I'm going to start counting in the form of a question, because when we get with the seniors during our little review during lab time, they're going to get picky about form of a question. I promise. All right. So Sky, what are we picking?
Body system 400.
1 or 2?
2.
Body systems 2 for 400. This system provides physical protection of the body surface, sensory reception, and vitamin synthesis. Think about what the system is called and give me a what is.
What is skin?
I'm going to toss it over here.
Okay, what is the muscular system?
Nope, nobody got it. This is what is the integumentary system, which does include skin. Skin does vitamin synthesis. What vitamin does it synthesize?
Vitamin D.
Very good, Drew. I'm gonna throw one in there for you. It does do vitamin D. That's why sunshine gives you vitamin D. All right, so who's up now? We're back to what, Lily? Is it you this time? Did you just go, Sky? Yeah, no, Sky went, so Lily, you're up.
Body system 500.
Body system, which one or two? Body system's 1 for 500. This system functions to produce certain hormones, to produce, maintain, and transport sperm and semen through and out of the system.
I literally just wrote it.
This should be an easy one.
Come on, Doris.
Read it and come up with your system. It's a body system. Be specific too about it because it's saying exactly what.
The testes in the male reproductive system. Where are the testes?
What's this? It's asking system. So I'll give you that one so you get it for next time. So it's asking about the system. So it's male reproductive
I
system.
said that.
Yeah, but you said the testes within it. So it's not the testes.
You told me.
No, I meant specific like male versus female. So now y'all know how you're answering, right? Systems. All right, meh. Okay, Claire, you're up.
Body systems 2-300.
Body systems 300. This system provides for the filtration of blood and elimination of unnecessary compounds and waste by producing and excreting urine and sweat.
What is the exocrine system?
Excretory system. Good enough. You're there. All right. So now we're back to Drew. What are you picking?
Let's do how to science 600.
How to science for 600. This tells what happens, a fact. This tells why it happens, an explanation.
There was even a scientific theory that said-
What are they?
Oh, so there's the first.
What is?
Oh, so what, the first one is what is the scientific law? The second one, what is the scientific theory?
There we go. All right, good. That's an important one. That will be on every exam you ever get from me, no matter what the class. Always, always memorize it. Okay, who is up? No, Colson. Non-chordates 1 for 400. There are 3 phyla of worms: flatworms, roundworms, and segmented worms, which belong to this phylum. They're thinking so hard. You don't know it all. I'll toss it over. Do you guys know? Okay, so this is going to be Annalita. Ah, yes. Now, just so that you know, your review is very similar to the senior levels review. They have an additional, see where you have 600, they have 700 that you'll see when we do, we're going to use their review today for our joint review. So you're not expected to know the 700s, but the difference is their questions are going to be phrased very differently from your questions on the exam. So the information that you know is basically the same, but they're going to be expected to know a little more in depth about it. All right, so who is Darcy is up. What are we picking? Hang on to these. Which one? Fungi for 400. Okay. The root-like structures of a mushroom are called this. She's like, I don't know.
Wait, I'm thinking. I want to say roots, but that's way too often.
You guys talk about it.
It says root like.
Do we have an answer?
Okay, I'm gonna guess soon.
Nope. What's over here? Say it out loud. Say it. Boom. Good job. Nice. Very nice. All right. What are hyphae? All right. We've got time for 2 more. So that's perfect because we're going to round out with Colson. And then actually, let's round the whole thing out. So we'll do Colson, Claire, Sky, and then we'll end. So Colson, what do you want? Fish, amphibians, and rep. Or were we done? This is our last. Oh, it's Sky. Is it Sky's turn? Okay, we'll just finish with Sky then. All right. Sorry. Let's do fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Is that good, Sky? Or do you disagree? All right, here we go. So osteichthyes are popularly referred to as this type of fish. What kind of fish are these? No, but you're close. Those are bony fish. Your jawless fish, your agnatha. Well, because I got to get them in here. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna call everybody in here, and I'm gonna give you guys a certain amount of time to, number one, well, first we're gonna give a happy birthday to Drew because it's Drew's birthday today. And he doesn't do cake so much, so we have cookies, and I'll allow everybody 2 and only 2. And then I'm gonna give you time to everybody take a minute, look at listen, you're gonna look at those and you're gonna write down what you see underneath. You're gonna just put a combination of letters that I wrote up there for you. And then I'm gonna give you about, depending on that time, I'm gonna give you 5 or 10 minutes. I'm gonna split you in teams first. I'm gonna give you 5 or 10 minutes to crunch study. And then you're gonna come back and we're gonna run this. So which team won? So Lily, or would you rather do candy or money? Okay, so I'm gonna let you pick a candy. Drew, wait a minute. First, candy or money? You don't care either, right? You don't care? Because you're not gonna put the money in the
I
machine.
saw the Marmaduke.
And then, all right, Darcy, candy or money?
Candy, I guess.
Okay, so you guys come up and pick a candy, and then if the rest of you will kindly go tell them to come on in, well, I would appreciate that.
I saw the Marmaduke thing and.
Yes,
Study what?
I'm gonna tell you all what to study, don't worry, okay? We're gonna go over all that in a minute, I just don't wanna do it twice.